Hello. Good morning, one and all. Oh, we got an Irish fan in the chat. Good morning. How is it over in Ireland this morning? Well, actually, it's this afternoon, right? A true Irish patriot waving the flag. An expatriate, rather. Yeah, welcome to the first thing in the morning live stream. I'm really feeling the first thing in the morning this morning, and I have my. You can still see my. You can see my laundry room. You like that? Is that giving authentic, or is that giving I should close my laundry room door? I'm gonna do that because I don't want to look at it. Yes. So, like I said, I'm really feeling those first thing in the morning vibes this morning because I woke up and remembered I have no coffee in the house because we just got back. We were away for the weekend, and I knew we had no coffee, but and actually I did try to find some coffee in Toronto, so I did make an attempt to have coffee this morning, but all my attempts failed. So I'm going in. I'm going in without support this morning, but hopefully, just I can through the pure power, just sheer willpower. Oh, it's really not. I can't even find my words. through willpower alone, I will get through this live stream. And I've also been sniffing this orange peel. It's kind of been waking me up. Find a little fact for the day, little observation I made this morning. Because this is an orange peel I left on my desk on Friday, I guess. And I was like, ooh, it smells good in here. So I think orange peels is like the one thing you can like, it's like garbage, I guess, that you could leave out that makes your space smell better. Tabitha's telling me that there was no coffee in Toronto yesterday, so it was my fault. That's true. I did ask at the the place we went for brunch. I did ask to buy their coffee because I liked it, but they wouldn't sell it to me because they get it in big industrial-sized restaurant bags from some nondescript place. So the trail went cold there. Good morning, Art Frog. Wow, everyone in the chat right now has a number 1 crown. Is that just being traded off to whoever made the last comment, or are they just handing out number 1 crowns like candy? Either way, I'm confused. I'm scared. But I press on. All right. Let's jump into things with the slideshow. Welcome to the first thing in the morning live stream. This is live stream number 3. And now I'm officially a streamer. That's all you just need to do it 3 times. So I am a YouTuber now. That's all it takes, just 3 streams. What just happened here? I'm learning things about my interface here. If you press down, it changes your scene. Little behind the scenes for you. All right, this is the 3rd one. Thank you to people who've been joining. Thank you to anyone who's joining who hasn't been to one of these before. I'm usually a lot peppier, I think I'm peppier usually. Here's the schedule. So today we're November 17th. That's today. We're going to do a full stream today with a slideshow and then a draw pile afterwards. We'll also have one on December 1st and December 15th. The weeks in between those, I will be not at my desk on Monday. So I don't think I'm going to do a live stream. And if I do, it won't look like this. I might improvise something if I'm feeling it in the moment. And if so, I'll post about that to my stories. But yeah, I don't know if it would be, it might be a fun thing to just try, do a little sketch and chat in the morning if I can find a spot to do that. Just broadcast from my phone. Could be a fun experiment. We'll see. Could be terrible. Or I could just not do it at all. You'll have to stay tuned to find out. All right, starting with my disclaimer before I get into my slideshow. I'm just some guy. All right, guys? If you learn anything from these slideshows, cool. I'm not claiming to have the answers. I'm just telling you what I'm interested in and what I've been trying. It might not work for you. I don't even know if it works for me. So if you haven't been here before, I present these slideshows, and despite the air of authority that a slideshow lends, these aren't so much educational. You know what? They're more educational to me than anything else. It's where I'm kind of processing, sorting, and presenting my own thoughts about my methods of workflow and keeping myself on task. Things the stuff surrounding my creative work and things associated with that. In the future, I'll be using it also to break down things I'm analyzing, if I'm looking at some old cartoons that week to get some reference material from it. I'm going to use a slideshow to sort of break down what I've analyzed and sort of share my findings. So yeah, this is not necessarily art guru speaks from the mountaintop, as it is, hey, look what I'm trying out. Maybe you could have some takeaways from this, because I find the way I've learned the most about my own methods is just hearing people talk about what works for them and trying things out based on things I've heard from other people, based on what resonates for me, and letting whatever stick. And then at the end of the day, you've got your own process as in the process of doing that. All right. So today we were talking about pencil mileage, going the distance with your drawing practice. And that's the little pencil car I ride around in, like a little Richard Scarry character. So when I looked up pencil mileage, I was just curious about that term, and I didn't get much further than this fact that was actually on discovery.com, so whatever authority you give that. But even they said this, no one's actually tested this fact, that a pencil can write for 35 miles. And yeah, so no one's actually tried that. You know what? Might be a fun thing to try out. I don't know what would be the easiest way to do that. Maybe just drag a pencil behind you while you walk for 35 miles, drawing a long line wherever you go, tracing your path, sharpening it when you need, and see if this holds true. But the kind of pencil mileage I'm talking about is, of course, related to this, but not an individual pencil. It's all the pencils and pens you may hold, and the length of all the marks you make, adding up to what soaks in as experiential and muscle memory that you can then will strengthen your drawing practice. So we're artists. Probably everyone here in this stream loves to draw. But sometimes we do not love to draw. Sometimes we just don't want to pick up the pencil for whatever reason. So why not? Why don't we draw? So these are kind of the greatest hits of why, when I'm not drawing, when people aren't drawing, this is kind of the things you hear. First of all, you hear from people who aren't artists who go, "Oh, I'm not an artist, right? I don't draw. I don't do those kinds of things. That's for you fancy artistes." Some people will say they don't have the right materials or software. They're waiting to kind of get some kind of software they need for a project, or they don't like the feel of these pencils or this paper. Basically anything, sort of the external physical things that they're kind of saying that they need to have the right materials before they can get started. Some people say they don't have the time. That's a classic one. And another one that I hear a lot is I never know what to draw, or when you're sitting, sometimes even when I'm sitting with friends, where we do draw a lot and we often know what to draw, this can come up where people just don't feel like they know what they want to draw. So I'm going to go through these one by one and find solutions to these problems. First of all, whether you're an artist or not an artist, everyone should draw, because drawing is good for your brain. It lowers stress, it allows for deep focus, helps you process emotions, and it activates reward pathways. And there's actually research about this where it's been shown to be helpful to people who have addictive or disorders, where it helps. It's a healthy rerouting, retraining of your reward pathways, the process of drawing. So, hey, it couldn't hurt. Whether you're an artist or whatever kind of artist you are, drawing can only help you. And that counts for any kind of drawing, whether you're doing a beautiful drawing of your own brain like this, or even just the process of scribbling or drawing your favorite characters. All of it can have very positive mental health effects. So one thing that holds people back too is this sort of inner sense of judgment, like an inner critic, and I think this is always kind of present even if you are in the practice of drawing. And I think it breaks down to like there's sort of two modes that you can approach drawing in, and if you've learned how to draw, like if you've gone to school, if you've refined it, then you're probably familiar with this duality. So analytical versus intuitive is kind of how I'm categorizing it. So drawing starts intuitive. Usually if you've gone to study how to draw, it's because you've shown some aptitude for it. Someone, usually as a kid, you're drawing and someone goes, oh wow, this kid's interested in drawing, here's a book about drawing, and they learn how to do it. Or they go, wow, you're so talented, you should pursue that, and then they go to art school or learn in college. And then at some point, the rules are placed on them. Some people start drawing with the rules. They like say, oh, I'm interested in drawing, I've never tried, let me start with some rules to kind of help me get started. But for the most part, you know, kids, you picture a kid holding a crayon awkwardly and just drawing on the walls, drawing wherever, because it's just instinctual. It feels good. That mark making, they just are drawing whatever they feel like, really, and it almost like it's like starts like physical almost, and then it gets mental as you try to draw certain things, and then it gets very analytical as you try to draw those things accurately or well. So to anyone with an art practice, both of these modes have their benefits, and learning when and how to switch is valuable. And it's kind of I don't think there's really there are things you can do to get better at that, but it's going to be different for everyone, and it's sort of like I don't know, like it's almost like Zen practice. Like you have to be able to like find the spaces, like almost like lean into where those different grooves are for you. But some of the things we'll cover in the later slides will be things that help shift you into those modes. More so to shift back into intuitive, because I think once you've really reinforced analytical with schooling, I find the challenges to kind of crack back into that intuitive stuff, still using everything you've learned, but with an expressive approach. So of course, when you're in school, you're more analytical because you're given this framework where you're supposed to do it correctly, and you're being taught day in, day out, given the information to color within the line, so to speak. So I found when I was in school, it was helpful for me to retain some of that intuitive drawing by challenging myself to do wrong drawings, to force myself out of the box. And how I kind of did that was I would, do what the assignments were and do everything very analytically, very process-based, studying animation specifically. And I would just make a point of, once my final assignment was turned in, I would my sketchbook and just break every rule that I just learned, almost on purpose, almost in a rebellious way, to sort of reconnect with that kind of intuitive, more just like driven by your like subconscious kind of drawing. But then of course what you find is all the analytical drawing you've been doing and all the training you've been doing is now sort of incorporated into that process of just feeling things out. It's informed by sort of the more structured drawing that you've been doing as you learn. I love this quote by Tyler, the Creator: "Create like a child and edit like a scientist." I feel this is a great way to incorporate the intuitive, and the analytical. So when you're when you're making a drawing for the first time, when you're generating ideas, draw as freely as possible. If you need to get out of your own way, just start with random squiggles or doodles and turn them into something. Um, like as much as you can, just create whatever conditions you need to draw as freely as possible, knowing that you can then bring in the analytical side to refine it with either a new drawing or cleaning it up with paint and ink. A great way to do this too is to do this alongside friends and kind of create that playful atmosphere amongst each other and get out of your own head a little bit and find that that sort of fun, playful zone together to be able to create like a child. This will lead into stuff about materials, but I also find connects to the idea of drawing like a child, quote unquote. There's nothing wrong with digital tools. Use them. Personally, I find the sweet spot is like there's a combination, and the way it usually works for me is I'll do my thinking on paper. I figure out the drawing, and then I leave the last bit of it to sort of flesh out through finishing it digitally. And I see a lot of people do different versions of that. I know Tony Mitchell, great artist Tony Mitchell, what I've seen him do and others do. I think Victoria Vincent might do this with her backgrounds, is draw it on the computer, print it out at a very low opacity, and then like refine it with pencil and give it the finished like drawn on paper with pencil look. So whatever order you put them in, whether you start on paper, finish digital, or vice versa, I find incorporating drawing on paper to be very helpful to tap into that that childlike sense of play. Because of course when you're young, typically when you're first drawing, you're going to be drawing on paper. I think even today, now that kids have iPads, they typically, they might try to give iPads to kids as late as possible. So no matter, even now with all these tools, the first time you're going to be drawing on paper. And so when you draw on paper, you're sort of connecting to this like tunnel or this like chain of experiential memory that goes all the way back there. And it's easier to tap into that sense of play when I'm drawing on paper for that reason. Whereas I don't have that quite as much on computer, even though I've done a lot of digital drawing. I just find that sense of discovery, also because it's hard to go back. You can't just undo stuff, so you kind of work with your mistakes, and that kind of creates a more a sense of permission to embrace spontaneity, I guess is the best way to put it. I keep pressing down on my OBS instead of on the slideshow. Here's some of my favorite materials. I really like the Luctrum. I don't know how to pronounce that. Lectrum sketchbooks. Those are great. I find they're a nice like sweet spot between like they're like a fancier one, but they feel like a little. They don't feel super intimidating like some fancier sketchbooks do for whatever reason. And then I love a blue cold erase. I'm really loving the Pigma Sensei pens lately, and I love this Staedtler white eraser. These are the main things in my arsenal. I also have this little this perfect little pencil sharpener that I'll maybe bust out later to demo on the stream, because anyone who's seen it knows it's a special piece. Actually, when I put this together last night, I was just throwing together a slideshow. My pencil case was all the way upstairs. I couldn't go take a picture of it, but I couldn't find a picture of this pencil sharpener online for the life of me. So it's a pretty rare item. So as for materials in general, the right materials can unlock magic, but don't let not having the right materials hold you back. So you can draw with anything. use what you have available to you. Um, Definitely experiment, and if you want to try a new medium or a new approach, dabble at first. Don't buy big sets of pencil crayons all at once. Most stores will let you test out pens and stuff, so see what you like and go start with that, and then buy a couple of something before invest in the whole set because stuff gets pricey. Um, so definitely, I'd say like if you're trying new markers or something, get three or something, get three different ones, play around with them, see if it, because also trying them in the store, you might be like, oh, this feels good to draw with, but it doesn't really lend itself to anything you do in your art practice, and you're like, I'm never gonna use these things. So yeah, it's kind of like when you get into a new sport, you get the lower end gear to try it out, and then once you've kind of dedicated to it, you can up the gear because then you kind of then you're shopping with some sort of you have some education behind it. You know what you're looking for, um, instead of just grabbing stuff blindly. And also, the cheap stuff can be as good or sometimes better, in my opinion, than the fancy stuff. I find a lot of times, especially if you're first starting, because fancier stuff can be very temperamental, and it doesn't work as well unless you know exactly how to wield it. And I find that's not. I don't really approach things that way. I like kind of doodling, and I like being sloppy and messy. So I think this distinction applies a lot more when you get into paints or even markers. But it can also apply to pens, the sort of fancy tip pens with the refillable cartridges can be, have a very specific way you have to wield them to get these nice lines. Whereas I like the nice, like, stubby kind of marker type pens, I guess you'd call them, the felt tips. Also, if you get cheaper materials, I find this helps you, again, get out of your own way and just create without judgment. Many artists, we've had that experience of getting a fancy new sketchbook and way to make all these beautiful drawings in it, and then just being paralyzed at page one because you feel like anything you could do to it would just destroy its beauty. So I really like, there's these, actually I have one right here, so I can grab it. I love these too, the Zap books, just because they're made of recycled paper, and they're like, I think they're like $5 or something like that. It's super cheap. Or like getting things from the dollar store. And I find those, I end up having some of my better drawings in them just because I'm not as like trying to like make a perfect drawing by the end of it. So yeah, like if you want to challenge yourself and make a beautiful sketchbook, by all means. But if you want to just have a sketchbook where that's enabling you to be playful and discover things, I'd recommend going on the cheaper side. And another thing I've seen a lot of people do, I don't do this as much, but mixed media. So to sort of shift the burden, if you're feeling a little insecure about your drawing, you could start by just like cutting stuff out of magazines or newspapers, or taking stickers and stuff, putting them in the sketchbook, and then enhancing it with drawing. So it's not, there's something there supporting your drawing, and that could be, you might end up discovering some cool things about incorporating different medias with your drawing, or you might kind of just like feel that you can express a lot of this same energy through collage. I know I have a friend, Jesse, who does really cool collage sketchbooks, so that can be its own cool medium in its own. It's like almost like a cool journal of all these little bits and things that were inspiring you and how you put those things together. And I'm going to press down on the slideshow this time. There we go. No time, make time. We've talked about this a couple weeks ago with scheduling and all stuff. It's just you gotta. If you don't plan for it, it's not gonna happen because there's always gonna. If you say I'm gonna draw when I have time, but you don't put the time aside, there's always gonna be something else you need to do. So you've just got to reserve a bit of time, and you don't even need much. If you really are super busy, even 15 to 30 minutes a couple times a week, even if it's just between things, like we're talking about all the mental health benefits of drawing. In addition, if you make time for it, it's also can be very relaxing or calming or meditative. If you are very busy and that is hectic and stressful, it can be actually an antidote to stress rather than a cause for stress to make that time for it. You can also fold it into other activities. So, if you're seeing friends or if you have kids and you're taking care of your kids, then obviously drawing is a great activity you can do with kids. It can be done first thing in the morning while you're having your coffee, if you're lucky enough to have coffee. Or again, de-stressing if you're very busy in your day, just as you're winding down for bed before, instead of looking at your phone like a lot of us often do before bed, take some time to drawing and kind of ease into, make it part of your nighttime ritual. If you want to draw, there's always going to be a spare 15 or 30 minutes across your week that you can make a bit of time for it. So I'm not buying this excuse. No one's that busy. Okay, what to draw? This is going to be a longer one because I think this is something that, again, like I was saying up top, even people who draw all the time, who have a strong drawing practice, can fall into this hole often. I know I do, and I have a group of friends I draw with every week, and this always comes up of, and sometimes you just don't know what to draw and you just don't feel like drawing and you don't draw. I think that's fine. If you're in the practice of drawing often, just sometimes you're just not going to be really feeling it. And, sometimes it's good to push through that, and sometimes it's good to just go, it's going to be a dry night for me and just, relax. But if you are looking for something to draw and you're just getting started, obviously a great place to start is with reference and tutorials. So just drawing from photographs or from diagrams of how to break different things down with shape language and with structure. But a trap I feel I've seen people fall into with the sort of, I'm going to get into drawing again. I'm going to brush up on the basics. I'm going to draw a construction head. I'm going to, this head here with the construction lines and all that stuff. I'm going to get back into it and do all my school assignments again to sort of or do a version of that to kind of get back in the zone. That can be good to sort of warm up, but I think very quickly I've often found for myself, and I've seen in others, that if it's not contextualized with some sort of project or goal, it can easily fizzle off because it feels sort of aimless and directionless. And I think it needs to be more than just, I want to get better at drawing, or I want to get better at drawing X. I think so having some sort of finish line to drive towards, again, driving with the mileage, right? To get that mileage, you got to know what you're driving for. Ooh, that's good. Write that down. Because then I think we were talking about the reward pathways of drawing. I think a bigger, obviously that's when you're drawing, you're reinforcing those reward pathways as you're drawing. But I think bigger picture, to kind of sustain a practice, to really emphasize that reward cycle, you need to know what you're aiming for, and then when you've achieved it, you get the sense of reward, right? So that doesn't necessarily have to be like a project or anything, and it can be very simple, like doing a monthly prompt challenge. And doing a prompt challenge doesn't mean you haven't failed at it if you don't do it every day. Again, these challenges, whatever way you contextualize it for yourself, whatever project you're giving yourself, it's, you set the boundaries for it. And I think it's good, especially if you're just getting started, if you're just getting back into drawing, to make these goals super achievable. So just say I'm gonna do Mermay this upcoming May, and you have all these months to prepare for it. But you're gonna do one of these drawing challenges, and you say to yourself, I'm just gonna hold myself to I'm gonna do at least 5, and then if you do more, then amazing. Or you could even say, I'm gonna do at least 1, and then everything else is bonus. But I think saying like, I'm gonna make one of these, I'm gonna post it, and that's my goal. It can be as simple as that. I think just having like a place to put it, or even if maybe you don't want to share your art right away. I think a goal is something like, I think it's good to show it to other people, even if you're not posting it online, just because I feel like gives you a sense of completion to present it. So, for example, if you want to get better at drawing like likenesses, you could say, I'm going to draw whatever, pick some Benedict Cumberbatch until I can draw him well enough that I could show it to someone and they know who it is. Some sort of thing where you can say, at this point, when this happens, I've completed this project, this task. And I think that kind of aims your effort at a specific target. So prompts are great for just, again, if you don't know what to draw. There's a couple of these every month, it seems like now. So there's always going to be one, no matter what month it is. It's also fun because everyone's doing it. If you do it day to day, then you're doing it, and then you're seeing what other people did, and it gives you that a version of drawing with friends and kind of sharing a mind space with other people. And speaking of friends, you could just ask your friends for prompts. Like often happens at a weekly drink and draw, where someone doesn't know what to draw and they say, give me something to draw, and someone will just say something off the top of their head and you draw that. So prompts are a great way to get the engine turned over. Or you can just prompt yourself. So I think this is something that a lot of artists relate to, is you have tons of ideas of what to draw when you can't draw. Meaning like you're on the bus, or you're walking, or you're at a party or something. You're somewhere where you don't have your materials around you. And that's when all your best ideas happen. So I'd suggest keeping a notebook on you, or just even use the Notes app on your phone, but keep a place where you jot down these ideas, so that if you're finding yourself continually sitting down to draw without any, when the inspiration's not coming, you can just open that and start ticking those things off the list. Very simple, but I often forget to do it myself. And this can be super helpful because, of course, you sit down, you look at those notes, you're like, oh yeah, right. You remember all those, you tap back into that like moment of inspiration you had when you didn't have the tools, and kind of connect it to actually rubber meets the road. A lot of driving metaphors with drawing. Oh my God, I keep doing that. All right, so just some quick tips to wrap up, and then we'll get into drawing ourselves on Drawpile. So by the way, if you haven't used Drawpile before, it's a way that people can draw together on a shared canvas through the power of the internet. And all you have to do is download Drawpile. I think there's a browser version, but so you can use that too. Or I think it also works I don't know if there is an iPad version, but anyway, if you can download the software, it's at drawpile.net, I believe. And I'll be hosting a canvas in the back half of the stream, and I'll post the link in the chat so that you can join the session. And yeah, anyone who's listening to the stream can join in, and we can all draw together on a big shared canvas. So some quick tips before we wrap up. Have multiple wills to draw from. So have that project in your back pocket, have some reference, have some prompts. It's like, depending on what mood you're in, you can pull from different things. I think it's good to have some go-tos when you're tapped out. Just these sort of things you instinctually just draw whenever you are just kind of tapped out of ideas. Mine are, I end up drawing a lot of little cartoon monkeys. I draw a lot of robots, and I draw like sneakers when I have like zero, when I'm just not really caring about what to draw. I just end up drawing weird like kind of sneakers for whatever reason. I'm not even that into shoes or anything, but it's just something I feels like fun to draw. So these last two, it's like definitely are sort of dual tips. If you so first of all, if you find something you like, just stick with it, double down, make it a core part of your artistic practice, and variety. Use it as like it's like I think the main way I like to throw variety in there is to switch things up with my material, my approach, or my subjects. If I'm just feeling kind of stuck in a rut, if I'm not excited by my own drawings, then I'll just throw some variety in there. I'll start, I usually draw just black and white, so just pen on paper, and I'll go through a color phase whenever I feel like I'm not that inspired by what I'm drawing, and it just forced me to think differently. And sometimes those color phases last months. Sometimes I only play around with it for a couple weeks, but that's the main way I kind of shake things up for myself. I feel I don't play with materials as much. I like kind of stick to pens and pencils and markers. Don't use paints or even like or collage stuff like I was talking about earlier as much. Yeah, because I know I like pen and paper. That's like my jam, so I mostly stick with that. So yeah, I mean, drawing is just it's intuitive because we've been drawing forever. It's the original human art form. This is the oldest cave painting. This is from Indonesia, and it's from 45,000 years ago. So yeah, we've been doing this a long time, and there's evidence of drawing and mark making from even longer ago than that. This is the oldest intact drawing I think we have of our human ancestors. So yeah, why stop now? It'd be a shame to not continue in this proud heritage that we share. And I think that's the last slide. Yeah. So just keep on drawing, and let's put our pens where our mouths are, and start drawing. So I'm gonna get the stream set up. I'll be back in 5 minutes probably with the stream, and in between I'll post the join the session code or whatever you call it in the chat, so that and I'll put a simple sort of instruction in there too about where you put that in draw pile to join the sesh. And let's see, we got some new things in chat. To get that mileage, you got to know what you're driving for. Cool. Sean wrote that down for me. I appreciate that. Let's put our pens where our mouths are. And yes, that's another classic quote from this coffeeless first thing in the morning live stream. Art Frog said that he could get me painting. Oh, is that a threat? And Kayla said that she needed this today, and that's great. I'm glad I could provide a little Monday morning inspiration. Okay, I'm going to disappear for a few minutes while I get this set up, and I'll be back for some drawing. Yo, I'm back. Yeah, we're gonna draw this nice grayish purple canvas today. Oh hi Elisa. The password is just password. If you use that link, it should bypass the need for it. But yeah, it's just password, all lowercase. I'm gonna leave this music on in the background, but I want to see what the levels are like here on the actual stream. Oh yeah, it's super quiet. I'm gonna leave this. Yeah, the link to the draw pile is just I posted just a couple of messages up. So yeah, I like to have a not white canvas. So either just gray or some neutral color. Even I like a black is good too. Just find white is just on the screen. It enhances that blank canvas effect of it just beaming just endless potential at your brain. I find this a nice neutral color base kind of helps me get a foothold in it. I'm gonna do a nice not quite black, bluish kind of thing. What do I want? That's good. Alright. Now I don't know what I'm drawing, but we'll see. I think it's just going to become some kind of monkey guy. Because I love monkeys. Is our frog's in here. Are you gonna draw along, Art Frog? Mr. Frog. I know what your drawing go-to is. I've seen it. I've seen it many a time. Oh, you can't copy and paste it from there? Right, okay. What I will help you out. I'm gonna send it to you on Discord. Oh, we got Doug. We got a Doug in the chat. What's up, Doug? We're doing some drawing. If you have draw pile on your computer, you can join. you doing, Doug? So one question, a quick poll I want to put to the chat is one sketchbook or multiple sketchbooks? Do you guys have different sketchbooks for different things, or do you put all your drawing into one big old sketchbook that contains everything? I know different people do different things. I tend to have different notebooks for different kinds of writing, but I find all my drawing tends to end up in one sketchbook. And I find when I try to separate, oh, there we go. Lisa got here. I find when I try to start separating different drawing things into different sketchbooks, one just ends up being the place where I do all my drawing, the other one just sort of languish, and then I find them years later with like 2 drawings in them. Alright, so we got a few people in here now. We got Sean, we got Lisa, Art Frog. It's a party now. So Art Frog has multiple sketchbooks, but mostly using one at a time. Sean has shoe boxes full of post-its until they are ready to scrapbook together. That's also a great process. That I find like that gets rid of your oh, this is going in the sketchbook, this is part of my permanent record weird feeling that I find artists have sometimes. If you just do it on scrap paper, then it feels like you could do whatever, and it's a lot more makes you a lot more liberal about what you're drawing, and then you just put the stuff you want in the book after the fact. It's also good to sort of like lets you get a bunch of ideas out and then like organize your thoughts and order them in a different way than maybe they came out. Maybe like you can put things in whatever order you want and annotate them and stuff. It's cool. It's a cool way of incorporating the intuitive and analytical process into your art. Post-its, underrated. Is humming along to your own music cool or cringe? felt both cool and cringe at the same time. Nice. We got some kind of old school Mega Man looking guy. Not sure what this is gonna be yet, but it's looking pretty cool. Nice flowing lines here from Art Frog. Ooh, and some creepy eyes and creepy nose from Melissa. And a classic monkey. Classic monkey. Closing off my lines because I want to try to bucket fill this guy, and I don't want to spill out into spill the paint everywhere and blind everyone with a sudden flash of white, which is one of the hazards of draw pile. Medusa. So what are some of your guys' drawing go-tos? I said my monkeys, robots, sneakers for some reason. know Art Frogs is Frogs, but maybe it's some others. Lisa's drawing her sort of goblin character, or a variation of it at least. I love this Mega Man shooting pencils. That's so cool. He defeated Pencil Man, the Pencil Man level. For some reason lately I've had a impulse to revisit the old Mega Man cartoon from the 90s. Curious to see how it holds up, if at all. I remember it being good. At least the drawings and stuff. So it's probably on YouTube. I haven't looked yet, but so Art Frogs go-tos are frogs, as stated. Ladies, knights, and warriors. Those are good go-tos. A lot you can do there. A lot of combinations. Warrior frogs, lady warriors, lady frog warriors. I mean, there you go, that's franchisable. Lady Frog Warriors, let's go. It's the new Ninja Turtles. Move over, Ninja Turtles. It's the Lady Frog Warriors. Time in the Sun. To have a multi-decade franchise. So I don't know if Kayla's still in the chat, but she was asking earlier about when this music's going to be available to listen to anytime. And don't have an answer to that yet, but except for in the background of these live streams. So this is music. Playing this playlist is mostly stuff me and Dougal are working on. Some of it is just old music that I've made. Right now we're just making music for our various projects, and it's going to be part of different things and live in different places, and one of those places is just to have music for, like, that I have the copyright to, that I could play on live stream to have in the background. There's also music that we'll end up using in our animation projects and in other places. So, but for now, the main way you'll hear it is on these weekly streams, and yeah, I'll keep you posted on where it ends up in the future. We might also be playing some live shows. No specific plans for that yet, but again, I will be absolutely promoting that when the time comes. want to be doing that, next year, probably in the spring. So yeah, we'll make music that we'll use for the live streams. That I also I have a podcast coming out next month that I'll say more about soon. And there'll be some original music for that. That'll be part of it as well. So yeah, just kind of like having a drawing practice, a regular drawing practice. We're just trying to have a regular music making practice so that we can have music to use in all of our other fun projects. And I think last priority is to have it put out some sort of release for it. I think once it's had its life in different ways, then it can be something that's available on streaming or through. And I love the idea of making like literal mixtapes of it. So maybe that'll be something we do sooner than later. Even just to have for the novelty. Kayla, if you're on your computer, you can join. You can download. If you can download the what do you call it? The desktop application for Drawpile, you can join that way. Alex was able to join from her iPad or her tablet, but that might have been because she was running Windows off it or something. I don't know if there is a mobile version of Drawpile that you can access with your iPad. I don't know what you're working with right now. On an iPad. Okay, yeah. No, I don't. You might need. I can ask Alex how she did it, so that maybe there's a way in the future you can join from your iPad. just getting some music for the Instagram story. Actually, speaking about robots being a go-to for drawing, specifically Mega Man is very much a go-to for me. My own version of him anyway. I like this pencil Mega Man you've done, and I'm going to draw him in my own style. This is also a great tip. If you don't know what to draw, just rip off your friends' drawings. Just draw what they drew. Draw it again. They already did the hard work of coming up with the idea. And you just ride their coattails all the way. Yeah, it takes time to get used to the hotkeys and how draw pile works. It's a little different than the other programs. But I don't know, there's some things about it that I like with this drawing in this software, even aside from the fact that it lets you draw with other people. It like limits you in weird ways that I sometimes prefer, because it just eliminates certain choices that you often make with digital drawing that you just don't have the option to do in Drawpile. Like, you can't really like resize your drawing as much. I mean, you can, but kind of messes with the, gives you this weird like anti-aliasing effect, like the pixels get all weird. I like drawing with just the sort of, this sort of chunky pixel brush with the sharp edges, and if you just resize your drawing, it makes the edges kind of fuzzy. Yeah. Nice. Got a good canvas going this week. Alright. Started 5 minutes late, so we'll go 5 minutes long. Wrap up in a bit. Nice. We got a guy riding one of the pencils. I also like reusing colors as much as possible, pretending I have like a limited set of markers to work with. Probably need a nice hot red here. I'm liking this, Elisa. This is cool. I just realized I've had the mic all the way over here. I don't know how loud I've been. If you could hear anything I was saying. As for the brush I'm using, I'm using. Let's see. Pixel 2, I guess? Is that what that is? Just using these settings. And I think like there's I forget which setting it is, maybe smudging. I just turned that down all the way. I think that's, I forget which one it is. There's a setting you can flip on or off, and it makes it either like a softer, more like a smooth brush, kind of like what you're using. I guess not. Yeah. See, there's a difference there where there's like fuzzier edges or sharper edges. I always just use the sharp edges, so I always forget how to do it any other way. So something pretty exciting is, speaking of drawing, I am receiving later today an animation table, a traditional animation table with the disc. It's being delivered to my house, and I'm very excited about this. It's been, damn, over 10 years since I've used one of those. Probably since college. I don't know if I've used one since, and yeah, excited to get back into that. Even just to draw on, like, I'm gonna use it for animation. Obviously, it's intended purpose, but I'm just excited because I like, one thing I like about drawing on the Cintiq is that it's I don't have to like slouch over my drawing, which I often do, and it makes my neck sore. So this lets me keep good posture while I'm drawing, and I think so I'm excited to use the animation table for sort of an all-purpose drawing table for that same reason, because it kind of angles it at a level that's more comfortable to draw at. Yeah, I find I tend to slouch or hunch rather over my drawings, and it's not good for back. It's not good for upper back or neck. Oh, I just accidentally discovered something cool. I'm learning about OBS. I just found out you can drop the keep the chat in the main window, because it kept disappearing when I had another window active. So now I can see the chat all the time. I'm learning as we go. It was fun. Thanks, Elisa. Glad you had fun. Thanks for joining. Won't be back next week, but we'll be back the week after. So just let me see. Let me get the schedule up again. So yeah, this is so today we had a stream. Next week we won't have one, or we will have a sort of not traditional. Is it too soon to call something different than the one I've done for the last 3 weeks non-traditional? I guess it's how long does it take to make it something a tradition? Maybe that's something one we can explore in a future slideshow. But either way, next week no live stream like this. We'll be back on December 1st, off again on the 8th, back on the 15th, and then we'll be back in the new year. So I hope everyone who came today will join us on December 1st and December 15th before we all head off for the holidays and do some more drawing together. Yeah. Let's see. Let's take one last look at this draw pile before we go. Beautiful. All right, that's gonna be it. That's the this little bird guy hiding in a hat, which I guess is the other form of this character that Elisa drew. That'll be our final drawing. I love that Sean's added story context to everyone else's drawings. That's great. Yeah, turned out awesome. All right, that was fun. Thanks, everyone. And hopefully see you on the next stream. And I'll see you around. All right, later.